Welcome back to Nerderotic. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerderotic.com, and I am live in San Francisco, and we are covering Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 10, The Red Angel. And if you haven't seen this episode and you don't want me to spoil it, go ahead and watch it if you dare. If you've paid for it or you sail the high seas, go ahead and watch it, or I'm going to spoil it, or just let me spoil it for you and save yourself about an hour of time. I will not take that long to ruin your life. I can ruin it much faster. How's it going? Hail, it's a Trap Productions. And I just saw somebody mention that Thanos had the time gem. And wow, they went there, didn't they? And they have really doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on the Michael Burnham and it's all about Michael Burnham. This might as well be called Being Michael Burnham, and everybody just walks around going Michael Burnham, Michael Burnham, Michael Burnham, Michael Burnham, Michael Burnham, Michael Burnham, because damn, this was a dumb episode and a canon smashing episode, and I'll get right to it. We know who the Red Angel is, and it's a time traveling suit designed by Section 31, and they did do a callback to the temporal war the temporal war from Enterprise, and this all results from that. It's the twist is who invented the suit, which is we have the completion of our origin story. We have our superhero Michael Burnham, who escaped planet Krypton with Jor-El. Actually, Jor-El had nothing to do with it because it was Michael Burnham's mom. Yes, the Red Angel is Michael Burnham's mom. And they had us going through the episode, making us think it was Michael Burnham. And I think I've said somewhere that if it wasn't Michael Burnham, it's Michael Burnham's mom or it's Giorgio. And it obviously couldn't have been Giorgio. So God dang, I don't even know what to tell you. And so they were able, apparently the Klingons were working on time travel as well. So Section 31 figured out the device, and the only thing they were missing was the time crystal, and I built a TARDIS, but the only thing missing was the TARDIS. Jesus Christ, was the console. Fucking A. So, okay, so the episode starts out pretty well. We've got Commander Ariyam's funeral, and it was done all right until we get to, we have some speeches, and they show, for some reason, they take her skull cap off to show that her brain under there, and they wipe all her memory just in case had Control, which got seized by Control from the future, and we don't know how Control, an AI that supposedly hasn't developed itself into an AI, although it was conscious enough to know it wants to be an AI, which, doesn't matter. Star Trek Discovery, it really doesn't matter. So it somehow has figured out a way to come back in time to create itself, and it was in Ariyam, so they needed to wipe that out, and they don't think that Control did anything else, or it went off-site. We're not sure, and again, I don't care. There was some delicious scenes in here, though. So they figure out that Section 31 had developed the time travel, and we find out that the signatures were that the Red Angel was Michael Burnham. So they thought it was Michael Burnham at first, and one of the characters says, "Oh, that doesn't make much sense. Why would Michael Burnham come back in time and open up portals or do the 7 flashes?" And Spock's all, well, actually it does fit her character perfectly. She would be the kind of person who would take on something that's way beyond her scope. And it was great. I was cheering. I was like, yes. So we had a moment where the writers know that they've created this huge Mary Sue superhero, and they don't care. They simply don't care. They're going to keep doing it. So the first part of the episode is somebody affirming Michael Burnham. They after she gives her speech that nobody would give at a funeral, it sounded like somebody, it sounded like a writer writing a speech for a funeral. And then Tyler compliments her on her speech and how moving it was, because we didn't know that until he told us that. And then there's a scene where Non has to come in, and she's the one who actually killed Ariyam. And she's like, I really wasn't okay with myself until I heard your speech. And now that it's okay with you, I can be okay with myself. So Michael Burnham allowed Non to continue without feeling too guilty. So everything's okay. Nobody has to feel bad about Ariyam anymore because Michael Burnham says okay. So there's a bunch of gobbledygook going on, and Admiral Cornhole, when I see her at the funeral, it's like, how many deaths are on her hands for being such an incompetent moron? But then I remembered I don't care, so it doesn't matter. So everybody needs Michael Burnham's approval, and we find out that Project Daedalus was the project that Michael Burnham's parents were working on, because her parents weren't just scientists. I mean, they were normal scientists, but of course they have to be related to Michael Burnham. So it turns out Michael Burnham's mom was an astrophysicist or something, and she was also a brilliant engineer who could invent a time machine. Not her dad, just her mom, by herself, and they were working for Section 31. So they built the time machine. And again, the only thing they were missing was the thing that actually makes it travel in time, which is just the magic time crystal, which made its first appearance with Harcourt Fenton Mudd last season, I believe. I could be wrong, but I looked it up while I was doing the watch party, and I didn't see any mention of a time crystal. There might have been. So, again, I'm not a Trekkologist. We can leave that for the other folks there. So they have to go to another planet they're going to try to set a trap for the Red Angel to see who she is. And because it's got Michael Burnham's signature, they think they can track it down. So everybody's on the case. Section 31 and Leland there. Giorgio is there. And in the meantime, we know that Giorgio knows that Leland had something to do with killing Michael Burnham's parents. And of course, we have a scene between Leland and Michael Burnham, and he is telling her that he is responsible for their deaths. But they worked for Section 31. They were on a mission, and he put them on a mission, and it's his responsibility. And he was apologizing, and Michael Burnham punches him twice and knocks him out. Not knocks him out, but like bloodies his nose and knocks him down. Yes, kneel before Michael Burnham, like knocks him off his feet. Sonequa Martin Green is like 5'4". Now, if she could sneak a punch in and bloody the guy's nose, I could see that happening. You could definitely break somebody's nose. But the second punch, it was just dumb. It's this whole goddamn show is just dumb. So they devise a plan to capture the Red Angel, and what they need to do is they need to use, of course, Michael Burnham. So they go to the surface, and I'm jumping all the other garbage that was in this show. So they we also, well, okay, before we get that, we have a sub story with Calder. Dr. Calder's involved with this, and there's a scene where he goes into Admiral Cornhole and wants to talk to her because she used to be a therapist. That's right, the one who's killed so many people and been pretty much the worst admiral in Starfleet history is also a therapist. Somebody I really want to take life advice from. And there's also a weird scene between Giorgio and Stamets and Dr. Calder. And Giorgio Mintz, it's a tense scene because they haven't talked to each other. Dr. Calder has moved out, and Giorgio mentions that, all the male tension in here, you just have to relish in it. And then she tells Stamets that she used to screw around with Stamets, mirror Stamets, and he was pansexual. And then we had to get some reaffirmation that Stamets is actually gay and Calder is actually gay, which we knew with all the kissing and stuff that we figured out they were gay. So they have to go to some inhospitable planet to lure the Red Angel down there, and they have to basically kill Michael Burnham. And we have another situation where they forget they have a transporter until they conveniently need it. Now, many people were saying, and rightly so, that why didn't you transport Commander Ariyam back to the ship at any point during last episode? And that's a very good question, because they were able to beam down to that base, so naturally they would be able to beam out. So they hatch this plan, and what they're going to do, the Red Angel has a tether. So that's why the Red Angel bounces back. It's got a tether to this reality, and it's got a membrane around the suit, because this would have come in handy in a lot of situations. I'm thinking Voyager, Star Trek 4, just off the top of my head, this suit really would have come in handy. And now that Section 31 has told members of the Federation, including an admiral, you think they would know about the technology from here on, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Forget it. So the Red Angel has a tether, and what they plan to do is lure the Red Angel in, cut off the tether, and lure the Red Angel in by killing Michael Burnham. Of course, Pike says he's not going to do it. He gives a direct order, and Michael Burnham, of course, blows him off and convinces that he has to order her to die. I am in 100% agreement with this order. It's insane in the membrane. Yes, it's a total dumpster fire. So they go down to this inhospitable planet where the atmosphere is, they don't talk about temperature, but it's filled with poisons, and somehow Michael Burnham would survive in this atmosphere for 2 minutes. And they need Michael Burnham to somehow, because she's connected to the Red Angel will know, and because they believe it's Michael Burnham, that she's about to die. So the Red Angel will come. So fine, the Red Angel shows up. And they trap the Red Angel. Michael Burnham does indeed die. Everybody was kind of chickening out while she's dying, and they want to stop the plan, but it's Spock who holds everybody off, because Spock is the true hero of this episode, to be honest with you. And he stops everybody. And the Red Angel shows up, and it turns out to be Michael Burnham's mom, the one who invented the time suit for Section 31 that the Federation now knows about. 8 to 10 years before the original series, and before Star Trek 4, obviously, and before Voyager and the Next Generation. And just think about all those time travel episodes where they had to slingshot around the sun and do all that other stuff. And now didn't need it, because Michael Burnham's mom invented a suit, because she's brilliant because of reasons. Yeah, with the news this week, of course, that we received that Anson Mount is leaving the show with Rebecca Romaine, who shot 2 minutes eating a cheeseburger. So nobody's really going to miss her, which is too bad, because that 2 minutes of her eating cheeseburger was actually better than most of the show. Anson Mount leaving, it's salvaging his career. I just want to mention before I get to the chat that there was some, of course, there's always clapback on every video I do, but I will just point out, why did Dateline Hollywood point out that there was an altercation if it wasn't a big deal? Why did HR find out about the altercation between over this accident if it wasn't a big deal? And even if it wasn't a big deal, how did it make it out into the press? Well, CBS seems to have a bit of a pattern. Brian Fuller is let go, and it was pretty much put out there that he was problematic, and he was arguing over the budget, and they had to get rid of him because he's becoming so problematic. The other 2 writers that they fired them, and all of a sudden they were too hostile. They were hostile to their staff. Some dirt comes out on them, just a little bit of dirt. Anson Mount leaves, and they throw in a little speck of dirt in this article to kind of throw shade on him as they go out. CBS All Access sounds like a horribly toxic and crappy place to work. By all accounts, this sounds like a bunch of backstabbing, whats, but who knows? It's just interesting that 3 people get let go, and there's some shade thrown on all 3 of them, when by all accounts, this HR situation shouldn't have gotten out. But it did. Let's get to the chat. It was a terrible episode, and it's always a terrible episode. Everything's about Michael Burnham. People are either apologizing or looking for her affirmation. The story makes no sense. And what's up, Spartan Jeremy? How's it going? That's because Burnham didn't know the alarm, the Ariyam at all, so they couldn't actually give it a proper eulogy. Well, none of us knew her at all. Kneel before Michael. Spock was more like Spock in this episode. He wasn't crying or angry. He said he wished he was in the room when Michael Burnham had struck Leland, but it was okay. He was fine. You know, Ethan Peck is fine. What's up, Princess Leia's buns? How's it going? Loquacious Primate, please tell me Star Trek didn't say time crystal. They said time crystal. They said time crystal. They really did. Thank you for the $2 super chat. It's you know, I'll do a breakdown of this episode. I just wanted to get through it so I can get to you guys. Peter Davison, time up. Australian $5. Thank you so much. She's brilliant. Thank you for the Australian $5. Best to your mom. Professor Geek is in the house. What's up? She's brilliant because she's a whammon. That's right. And that's what this show is about. They purposely put all men in a situation where they need to get advice from a woman. This is about power. Star Trek Discovery is a matriarchy. That's pretty much what it is. Now, I've said it before. It's not like I'm pro patriarchy. I'm pro men and women working together as equals, like everything else. But this whole show is a reaction. It's really the same thing as Westworld season 2. We don't want to promote what they believe is toxic masculinity or any masculinity at all. They want to show this as, we don't want to put it in a good light anymore. So we're going to invent weird situations within our badly written plot to do this whenever we can. It's like it's an edict sent down from somebody in charge. It's a lot like the BBC putting down rules before you write a script, which I just suspect, but it seems pretty clear that there's some sort of checklist, and it's really obvious in this show. Now, I'm past my nostalgia for Star Trek. My nostalgia for Star Trek got worn down a long time ago. So I understand why there's some fans out there who are still feeling very nostalgic about Star Trek, and nostalgia is a very powerful thing. And I can understand why you want this show to be good. I want this show to be good. I want you to be happy as Star Trek fans. I want you to get good Star Trek. But if something's not good, it's not good. You can try to talk yourself into it, but this isn't a good quality show. When it's 5-10 years down the line, this is not going to be remembered well. It will be remembered like Manimal. There will be some people who are into it because it was kind of a cheesy mess. And, you know, this show might get a cult following for it being so bad. It is kind of funny. It's almost turning into like The Room of science fiction. It really is. What's up, Professor Geek? Subscribe to Professor Geek. He's a great channel. Canon does not exist anymore. I mean, it doesn't. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I am not a Canon fundamentalist. I don't care. I mean, the technology, if they tried to make an effort to not have it surpass future Treks, I don't care if it looks a little more shiny, but they don't care. And the reason they don't care is because they want to rewrite the history for Star Trek because they find the history plot problematic. That's it. They don't want to put certain things in a good light anymore. Instead of showing reverence for the past and just adding to it as much as you can. And you could certainly do that with a diverse and inclusive cast and nobody would care. But that's not what you're doing. The cast is whatever. The cast is Star Trek. That's fine. It's what they're doing within the plot. And they're doing this with very specific shows, very big franchises for a reason that we've gone over a million times. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Saw your wish that the Silver Surfer shows up in Endgame credits played by Keanu Reeves. Scratch that. Captain Marvel saving the day. Want John Wick 2 to show up and end and kill Thanos for killing his dog. Well, yeah, that would be it. If the dog went away in a snap, I can see John Wick being pissed about it. That'd be cool. Jack Random, thank you for $2. Great chat tonight. Saw clips of STD and it stunk. It stunk. If you're a patron, you can go watch me watching it. And yeah, when I saw that it was Michael Burnham's mom, I was like, oh, of course. And she's going to come back and show everybody the way. And that's going to be that. It's not like she couldn't help, I don't know, Cuckton Pike from his fate. She would know about it. So maybe she could save him from ending up in the wheelchair and being mute. And probably not, though. Why bother? Oh, my God. Emperor Pigeon. Beavis voice. Okay, I got to try my... oh, it's Beavis. I'm much better at Butthead. I'm an Admiral Cornholio. I need SD scripts for my bungholio. Beavis, he's a bunghole. I used to be able to do them. I have to like warm up to it. This show's called STD. As a liberal, I'd say STD is preachy and badly done, using pop social issues to sell merch more than make points. Learning disabled Spock. While I don't choose a side, I certainly agree with a lot of stuff on the left. We'll just say a lot. And I agree with some stuff on the right. I certainly don't like paying taxes, but I like capitalism. I know it makes me evil nowadays, but I was a small business owner. My wife is a small business owner. I guess Nerdrotic's a small business. Yeah. So I agree with you 100%. I know that was a terrible Beavis. I'm sorry. And Butthead. I used to do them better, but I'm just not ready for impression. I'm not an impression guy. I'm not. I can do decent Venture Brothers voices. That's about it. I just torrent that garbage. Don't even waste your God, any space on your computer for this thing. It is a complete dumpster fire. When I do the breakdown, see, when I watch it the first time, I don't catch everything. And I'll tell you, the last breakdown video I did, I had to cut out 10 minutes of it because it was going to be a half an hour long. There was so much idiotic, horrible, just idiotic dialogue, bad plot points. It was, it was freaking bad. STD has done one thing, though. It's proven time travel is impossible. No way someone in the future wouldn't have come back and stopped it if they had the technology. Yeah, why did they let the whole Klingon war happen? If they could have stopped it, why didn't the Red Angel stop Michael Burnham from being an idiot in the first episode? John Schmidt, I think STD is proof time travel doesn't exist in our reality because somebody would come back in time and stop this show from being produced. Oh, Gary, do you think these issues that make up your mind? Oh my God, Gary, do you think about issues and make up your mind on them? Heresy. I know, I do. I don't let other people decide them for me. I know I'm so old fashioned. Nothing wrong with capitalism, but we have an oligarchy here, not capitalism. That is, you are correct, Mike Cedar. I'm not going to argue with that. Currently what's going on right now is not the true form of capitalism, which was built upon, small businesses and, stuff like that. I certainly think anybody should be allowed to make as much money as their talent allows. It's funny. I'm going to bring this up real quick. Somebody sent me an email with their name attached, but no comment. And it's an IO9 article from a couple of years ago, basically saying, if you criticize Star Trek Discovery, you don't understand Star Trek and you're a racist. So when somebody sends me an email like that and has no comment on it, I can either thanks for sending the information and showing that they were trying to, it's an IO9 article, trying to push this narrative from the get-go to get out in front of Star Trek sucking, or you are somebody who's insinuating I am a racist for criticizing Star Trek. So I will state the obvious here. I see everybody as an equal, and I criticize everybody equally. I don't think Sonequa Martin Green or anybody on the show is protected. I think if they suck, people should be allowed to say they suck, and they should not be protected just because of the color of their skin or their genitals. Now, that being said, Sonequa Martin Green is a multi-millionaire, I'm guessing. A multi-millionaire. I'm not. So there, she's doing just fine. I don't think she needs any white knights out there. Joel Tamburo, in the light of Burnham's ludicrous fight style, I thought of Ilsa Faust from the recent Mission Impossible films. Her fight style is superb and sensible. Yes, they have done that. Even the fight style from Kingsman, the girl with the I'm forgetting her name, with the blades for her feet. That is a fight style that made sense. There are fight styles that make sense, but actually, Counterpart did that as well. They had a female assassin, and she would sneak up on people and cut people in the Achilles tendon. You know, that's how you do it. She was like a shadow. It was great. Thank you, Joel Tamburo. The Price is Right review, Nerdrotic. For me, canon ends at Star Trek Nemesis, and only Star Trek Enterprise I accept for a prequel series. How would you revamp Star Trek beyond it? Anti-Trekker made a great point that if you go too far ahead in Star Trek, you pretty much have the technology of the gods. They kind of have that now. So you would either, what I would do is not go that far ahead. I would, what I would do is I would get another crew, go on another ship, go on another 5-year mission, and get away from all, and make it, you know, not to where it's like Voyager where they can't get back, but make them far enough away where it's like really hard to get back, and follow them there and put it, you know, 20 years after Picard, or 30, let's say 40 years. So where he's too old and you wouldn't expect to see them again. All the crew is pretty much retired. And you can leave that open and you can refer to them in passing, but Starfleet's a big organization. You could probably pull off doing a 7-year season without bringing anybody in, but that's so hard to resist. That's the problem. I like the concept of the Picard series. I just think they're going to, I mean, it's freaking Akiva Goldsmith. So it's going to, the execution will suck. I guarantee it. I love Scotch. Scotchity, Scotch. $10.10. Thank you for the super chat. I actually don't love Scotch, but he does, or she. I'm sorry. That's assuming your gender. Can't watch it or rewatch it. That's the worst part about this. And I have to admit, it's wearing on me, is doing these breakdown videos. They're terrible. A crew went on the Gamma Quadrant from a wormhole from DS9. They could do that, but I mean, you're right, that Star Wars girl, and that's what it would be kind of like Voyager, but so what? Who cares? You can do something different. What's up, that Star Wars girl? Everybody subscribe to that Star Wars girl. And I'm going to Star Wars Celebration. So I'll get to meet you there, and that should be fun. That should be fun. When I see Ash Tyler actually use a communicator badge, I lost my voice. And then we get no more Cure songs from Robert Smith when he loses his voice. That really sucks. And you were just about to go on tour. Bummer. Yeah. Vok Tyler, he wasn't too bad this episode. He was just there to praise Michael Burnham. So the whole setup where, we actually think that they might actually kill her, like we were really worried, all happened in like 3 minutes. So they do a bunch of drama and techno babble to set up the whole plan to capture the Red Angel. And there's a brief moment in there where the crew there's like shots of the crew all worried and saying goodbye to Michael Burnham, because this could be her last goodbye, because we might think she might actually die. And sure, they did this in the 60s with Kirk and stuff like that, but I mean, that was the 60s. As people who like the show like to remind us, it's 2019. So who in the hell thought she was going to die at any point in time? What about chat's theory that Leland is now going to be the first Borg after being injected in the eye? That is a good point, John Schmidt. It's that was a theory that was put out there a couple days ago that of course they're gonna bring in the Borg, of course, and they're gonna bring in Kirk. They're going to bring in Kirk and they're going to bring in the Borg. I promise you. Yeah, I can't wait to meet you either. I think it'll be fun. That Star Wars girl. Yes. Yes, they will bring in Kirk. They're going to bring in the Borg, and Leland being the first Borg. Sure. I mean, like at this point, why not? Why the hell not? And hey, Michael Burnham is Q. Fuck it. We find out that Michael Burnham melds with her brilliant mom, and they become one really awesome person through an accident for the machine. Or no, not an accident. They wouldn't make an. What am I, dumb? They wouldn't do it. There wouldn't be an accident with Michael Burnham. She will get into her suit and become Q, and we'll find out Q was just messing with Picard. It was actually Michael Burnham all along. Price is Right review, $5. I agree. Hence, I would structure a new series around the Star Trek Online game for arcs. For me, Star Trek Online is what's left of good Star Trek storytelling. There you go. If you have your plots outlined right there for you and you could make something good out of it, by all means. Here's the biggest problem with Star Trek. I'm probably going to make a separate video about this because I gave my kid a little homework. I gave both my kids a little homework. I asked them to ask and now this is not scientific at all. This is just me using my kids for the channel, but I wanted an honest answer. So I had my kid go to school and ask around for a couple days if anybody watched Star Trek Discovery in a school. Nobody knew what Star Trek was. There were a few people who had a passing knowledge of it, but we're talking 13, 14-year-old kids had no clue what Star Trek was. My older son said nobody would watch that trash, and none of his friends watch it. Nobody cares about Star Trek anymore. And I hate to tell you, the Trekkies out there and the Trekkers, it's aging out. It's been aging out for a long time. And that's probably what led CBS to make this decision to make it all young, edgy Trek. The actress Tilly, the actress who plays Tilly said, oh, it's a show for kids. No, it's not. It's not. And not saying it's inappropriate. It's just not one they would watch. It's not appealing to them in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know what future it has. I'm sorry to say it's niche, and it should be bigger. It should be as big, in my opinion, as Star Wars. I love Star Trek, love it to death. Now, granted, these are just asking to my kids. One of them lives in LA, and the other one goes to a major metropolitan junior high here in San Francisco. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And Tilly gets a sex change and becomes O'Brien. She gets a sex change, but she impregnates herself and then gives birth to O'Brien. That's what I'm saying. Later in life, because you can have babies later in life. It is ridiculous these days that I have to list all the female characters I love every time I criticize the ones I don't love. And Mike Cedar, and you don't have to do that. You know what? Stop doing that. I'm not telling you what to do, but you really don't need to do that. That is the critic. That is our critics just trying to back us up into a corner. They have no argument over it being a good show. Let's just argue about the merits of the show, shall we? It sucks. It sucks. Change my mind. I haven't heard anybody come close yet. As a matter of fact, every time I bring up, give me a specific character arc of Michael Burnham that you like, and they tell me something, and it's is Michael Burnham trusting a man? That's pretty much her biggest. That's the biggest challenge she comes across, was she trusted some men, and they let her down. But if she hadn't trusted those men, she'd have been fine. There you go. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to justify anything. Your opinion is your opinion. You have every right to it. It doesn't define you or make you a bad person. It just makes you somebody with good taste. Do these kids know what The Expanse is? That's a good question. I'll have them ask that next. I would hazard a guess no. I don't think so. But The Expanse can at least make some headway. And Star Trek has been around for 50 years. The Expanse has been around for about, when did the first book come out? 2012? So maybe 7, 8 years. Not the same thing. I'm using my kids for market surveys. Yes, call Child Protective Services. Well, they got to be good for something, for Christ's sake. Instead of eating all my food. Everybody knows who Game of Thrones is. By the way, we will be covering Game of Thrones right here live after every episode starting April 14th. And it looks like if Anna is welcome, and she said she will try to make what she can, and she is welcome to whatever one she can, and Doomcock will be co-hosting. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. That's what Star Trek Discovery tries to be. So thank God there's only 4 episodes left, and I get to miss one because I'll be out of town. So I'll be here for the next one, but the following week I'll be gone. Do kids watch the Orville? That's a kids don't need to watch the Orville. Why kids need to watch Star Trek is because it is a major billion-dollar franchise that has a ton of licensing included. Well, it used to have toys attached to it. That's why you want kids watching it. The Expanse doesn't rely on licensing. The Orville right now doesn't rely on licensing. The reason they are doing this big Star Trek push is merchandise. Merchandise brings in a ton of extra money. It can equal advertising revenue and surpass it at sometimes. That's really what was floating Doctor Who for the longest time. Star Wars is for the merchandising. It's a big damn commercial for the merchandising. So, and the MCU, merchandising. That's what these things are done for. So that's why it's important to get the kids. The Expanse doesn't need to get the kids. Game of Thrones has proven it doesn't need to get the kids. Now, if it wants to last longer, well, what helps you get in between series, what helps you with cash flow, merchandising. And Game of Thrones, quite frankly, has been shitty with merchandising, to be honest with you. They've had some good stuff, but they should have full sets of action figure lines, and they don't. If there were an actual good current iteration of the franchise, why does it matter if the original series was so old? It shouldn't. And I would accept a halfway decent Star Trek at this point. My standards have been lowered. The Orville rocks, STD sucks t-shirts. Yeah, I have t-shirts, but it's just my logo. I'm working on one. I have a Disco Sucks one that I'll try to get out before this thing ends. It just says disco, like the disco, and it says sucks below it. Those will be available soon. All right, folks, I'm going to run. I have got to, I got to get going. Sorry, this one was so late. I was cutting a video and, well, it took a lot of time because I found a mistake. So I had to recut the whole damn thing. It should be out in a couple hours. So if any of you are staying up, I'm going to have a video come out in the middle of the night, but it's basically for the Europeans. Sometimes I do these European releases. Indiegogo, my own Star Trek web series. Oh my God, that would take all my time. And I could not do anything better than Star Trek Continues, which is freaking awesome. Just go watch Star Trek Continues. No Indiegogos. No, I like just doing the channel, but thank you. Yeah, maybe Doomcock can do. Yeah, he's a writer. Doomcock can write a real good Star Trek episode, a series, a movie. Homework should be watching Star Trek Enterprise. I have. I've only watched seasons 3 and 4 though, so I probably should watch seasons 1 and 2. Get stronger scissors to cut your videos. Gladys. I saw what you did there. I did. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Go to nerdrotic.com. If you want some t-shirts, the link will be there. Maybe one of my mods can put it in before the thing ends. Check out Patreon. I'm going to have a subscribe star soon. You could tip on PayPal, or you could just subscribe and watch. That's all I really ask for. And thank you. We've gotten so many new subscribers. It's been great. There will be a breakdown video of Star Trek Discovery this weekend. There'll be a breakdown video of the Orville, which is now off for 3 weeks. What? Why? I don't understand. Happy premieres next Wednesday. So that is truly a great show. So hopefully that'll continue to be good, but anything made in this current time, I'm going to question. Thank you very much, Montana Horseman. Thank you, everybody. Please subscribe to Professor Geek and That Star Wars Girl, Anna. They're both great great YouTube channels, and friends. And y'all have a good night. Thank you for the super chats. Price is Right review. I Love Scotch. Price is Right review. Jolton Burrow, Emperor Pigeon, Jack Random, Professor Geek, Loquacious Primate, and Peter Davidson. See you all on Josiah Rise's channel tomorrow night. Time to be announced. Pay attention on Twitter. Take care.